All right, so moving on to the creation of money. So basically, if you think about this, whenever you deposit $1 into the bank and the bank lends out 97 cents of your money, or 97 cents to every dollar of your money, it is inevitably going to create more money in the economy. Okay, so this is, like I say, the principle of fractional reserve means that the bank only needs to keep a small portion of your money and they can lend out the rest. So the amount of money that the bank chooses to hold back is called the bank's target reserve ratio. So that is the percentage of every dollar that gets deposited. That is the amount that the bank, the charter banks would like to hold to meet the day-to-day withdrawals of its customers. The rest, which is known as the excess reserve, is the amount that the banks can lend out. So because of this fractional reserve ratio and the principle of fractional reserve, the amount, anytime a deposit is made, the bank, through lending money, will create an increase in the money supply by a multiple of what actually came in. Okay, so now we're talking about the money multiplier. Now, before we go into the money multiplier, we have two assumptions. We assume that all banks, all charter banks, have the same reserve ratio, and I don't think that that is too far off. I mean, if you think about all the charter banks, RBC and CIBC, they're not really that different. You know, it's almost like you're doing the same thing with just, you know, different agent, but really their products and services are pretty similar. The other thing is we assume that there's no cash drain. So cash drain means that you take out money out of your savings account and you stick it in between your mattress. So we assume that any money that gets taken out eventually ends up back in the banking system as a deposit, either by you or by somebody else. Okay, so that's what it means by no cash drain. So moving on to our money multiplier, basically what we're saying is that anytime a deposit is made, the bank will then lend out, you know, 97% of your money. Okay, so here is an example. When money comes in, you can't lend out all of it. You have to figure out how much you can lend out. That is your excess reserve. And I have an equation here where your excess reserve is equal to total deposits minus total deposit times your reserve ratio. And your money multiplier, the formula, which is the change in your money supply, is equal to your excess reserve divided by your reserve ratio, which is V. So I'm just going to work on a example here. So I'm going to stop sharing here. Let me start share here. Okay. So let's say hypothetically that someone came in and deposited, and I'm going to call it TD, deposited, whoops, I don't know what I did here. Oops, there we go. Deposited $5,000 into the bank. I hate this stylus pen, and I look like my writing looks like I'm in kindergarten, so so I apologize. Okay, I'm gonna move my whiteboard somewhere else so I don't look like I'm in grade school or, you know, in kindergarten right now. Okay, so $5,000. Okay, let's say that our reserve ratio is equal to 5%. Now, we can't lend out all 5,000 because the bank needs to hold, or our charter bank needs to hold 5% of this money to meet the day-to-day withdrawals of its customers. So what are we going to do is we're going to figure out how much they can lend out, which is our excess reserve. So we're going to go 5,000 minus, 5,000 times, oh my God, I hate this stylus pen. 0.0, oh my Lord, 0.05. So that means we can lend out $4,750. That is our excess reserve. So $5,000 comes in. We can't lend out all 5,000. We have to figure out how much we can lend out, right? Let's say the target reserve is 5%. So our excess reserve is $4,750. So now we're going to figure out how much money this creates in our system. So this is the change in our money supply. We're going to go 4,750 divided by 0.05. And I think that works out to about $95,000, which is pretty staggering if you think about it. A deposit of $5,000 create $95,000 of new money in our country.